Hey everybody, Bria with Incidental Wildland here to show you how to fit your mock-up pants. To complete this tutorial, you're going to need the mock-up itself, the bag of safety pins that came with it, a belt or a string long enough to tie around your waist, and you're going to want to be wearing whatever underwear or base layer you typically wear under your Nomex, and also your fire boots later for hemming the mock-up. This is an example of how to put on the mock-up. You'll notice that the pins are lined up on the blue line up the front and on the dot on the waistband. You can think of these pins like the zipper and the button on your final pants. At this point, you'll have the pants on, and before we do any of the fitting on the waist and hips and down, we want to make sure that the rise is in an appropriate place to make sure movement is good. So what I mean by that is you want to make sure your crotch junction seam is not so tight that it's uncomfortable or hanging so low that it obstructs movements to your legs when you do movements like climbing or squatting or bending over. And so if your rise is too short, you'll find that the waistband of the pants gets pulled down in the back when you squat, etc. So how to fix that is, again, if it's too short and too tight, that's an issue you're going to need to email me about. If your crotch level is too low, you can squat down, hike the pants up to the point where they're not obstructing the movement of your legs anymore. Hold your waist in place and then stand back up. And then use your safety pins to then pin the waist in place. If this results in a rise that is too high, don't worry about that quite yet. We'll adjust that in a further step. Now that you have the rise set to a level that's comfortable and it facilitates movement for you, we'll talk about fine-tuning the fit of the pants from the waist down. Notice that for the sake of this fitting, I've got some pins here on my shirt. You could do the same thing and that'll help them be quick to hand as you're pinning. I also want to talk about the importance of orienting the pins correctly. As you're going down, pinning out any excess fabric along the side seams of the pants, you want to place your pins vertically or parallel to the out seam of the pant, which will look like this. This allows me to see front to back exactly how much room you want taken out, and it's also important if you do a pin on one side to mirror it on the other side, because you're working with the full circumference of the body here. A pin on both sides will show me the total amount that you want taken out of the pants for the entire circumference of your body. This is an example of how you can pin extra out of the hip of your pants. To pin extra out of the waistband, you will do the exact same thing by placing vertical pins on both sides of the waistband at the same location of that side seam. Moving down the legs, you can pin extra out of the upper thigh area in the same way by placing a vertical pin. And if you have a lot of extra here, you can also place a pin on the inseam, which will look like this. Remember as you go through this that you do not want this pant to be skin tight. Dead airspace between your skin and the fabric is a critical safety feature of your Nomex. Moving on down, if you have extra fabric at the knee, you'll pin that in exactly the same way by placing a vertical pin at the knee line on the outside, or if there's lots of extra to take in, equal amounts on the outside and inside, or outseam and inseam. And finally, down at the ankle, you can also place pins on the outseam and inseam to mark whatever ankle circumference you'd prefer to have in your finished pair of pants. Now that you've placed your pins on both legs of the pants, we're going to do a quick double check of fit by doing some common motions to make sure that you haven't pinned the legs or the hip too tight. Good things to do here are to lift your leg up, do some chair step-ups, maybe, and then another good one is also a squat. This should all be comfortable and easy without the leg of the pants feeling too tight or pulling. You should also be able to squat down entirely without the back rise pulling down so far that it's uncomfortable for you. If any of that is occurring after you pinned the pants, you need to make your legs looser so that they can move up the leg as you're performing these motions on the job. This is a little tricky to do on your own, so if you've got a friend to help you, that's great. Otherwise, it'll just be a little bit of trial and error. After you've determined that the rise and the width of the legs is all good, with your boots on, you'll see that the mock-up is already pinned in place. This is the length of the measurement for your inseam that you indicated on your order form. If you have the mock-up on and you decide that you'd like to adjust that a little bit, all you need to do is remove the pins in the mock-up and move that hem up or down however far you'd like. And again, if you're doing this on your own and you have to bend over to pin this, it'll just be a little bit of trial and error. You'll move the hem, pin it in place, and stand back up to see if you like where you placed your pin. And you can just keep adjusting that until you find a length that you prefer. Lastly, we're going to talk about adjusting the rise down. If you have done that adjustment with the crotch point and brought it up and have now found that your pants are too high of a rise for your preference, there's a simple way to show me where to bring that level down. For this, you're going to need either the regular belt that you wear or a string tied around your waist will also serve the same purpose. What you're going to do here is tie the string or put on your belt in the level that you usually wear it, because what you're showing me here is where you would like the bottom of the waistband seam to be. And how you mark that with pins is you'll just take your pins and you'll mark the bottom of the belt, and you want at least 4 pins here, 1 on each side of the front of the pants, and then you'll place 1 on each side of the back of the pants as well.